Okay. Motherboard. I'm crossing my fingers here that this is every bit as awesome as I want it to be. Let's do it. So this thing is monstrous. I mean, it's monstrous. Like, look at this thing. That's the box, okay? That's the box for a MOTU figure. A Masterverse MOTU figure. This is a deluxe figure. Yeah. I could grab down one of the other boxes to show off something else, but like, I think you get the idea right off the bat. This thing is ridiculous. It is the largest figure that we have seen in Masterverse. I mean, come here, Faker. The thing that gets me about this is that this is one figure. That's it. It's not like a playset. It's not like even supposed to be referenced as necessarily like a giant, the dinosaur, a vehicle. Like, it's one figure. And I just got this feeling like it's going to be way cool. I'm hoping that it's going to be way cool. Because, I mean, look at it. Motherboard is one of those things that when it showed up at the end of Revelation, sorry if that's a spoiler, I guess maybe I should have put that on there, but I don't really play the spoilers game here. I'm sorry if you're coming here to enjoy fandom. This is my personal drive through fandom, and either you're keeping up with the fandoms that I'm into or you're not. And for that matter, vice versa. There are people that say things on my Discord and whatnot all the time where they're like, "Oh, Bill, did you see this? This is cool." And I'm like, "Nope, I'm like a season and a half behind you, man. We can't keep up with everybody. And spoilers is the nature of the world, I guess. So sorry if I just did that. But guys, if you haven't watched Revelation, I'm not 100% sure what you're doing here. Like a Motherboard Masterverse figure, specifically a figure from Revelation. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I personally love Revelation. Go see it. But I'm not going to argue all that right now. I'm just going to say that when this thing showed up, I instantly fell in love with the concept. The idea that for years and years and years, we knew that MOTU was this weird universe of good and evil, and DC even uses it as being basically a centerverse of all good and evil that somehow connects and wraps the entire multiverse, and that's the reason it exists the way that it does, why it has so much good and so much evil, and why there is very much a black and white, not necessarily a gray area, is because the current state of Eternia determines parts of the multiverse in the last DC run that they did, where they talked about a lot of this, that when it's shrouded in darkness, the multiverse tends to darken, and it kind of casts out across the multiverse. It may very well be a junction point for good and evil in that concept and how it pertains to the rest of the multiverse. And that's a real cool concept. And it wasn't just that did that. But like, look, you got Fisto, right? So, of course, you also have Jitsu. These are polar opposite ideas. That's cool, good, evil, and very different concepts wrapped through. There have been, and this doesn't just run for that, but it goes through the entirety of the line. You think things like, I would reference things like, say, Man-at-Arms. That's more than likely Triclops on the other side. There's a lot of these shadows that come up. And the more I look at them, the more I should have known for years. There's a bird, okay, Zoar. It becomes the sorceress. They shift back and forth. When she's outside of the castle, they see the bird, they refer to it as Zoar. They don't often say, oh, it's the sorceress. They refer to it as Zoar. They see it as its own entity. In a way, you could argue that that's not how they see it, but if you could also argue very much that most people see, even though the sorceress turns into Zoar, they're kind of viewed as almost separate entities often. And if that bird becomes the sorceress, and if we have Screech, and Screech originally was not a robot idea, especially not in the toys, then what does Screech become? Or is it really just a bird? Well, for years it really has been just a bird, and then of course when it went to the filmation, it became a robot bird, and then it stayed a robot bird. But when that robot bird all of a sudden stood up at the end of Revelation, and we got to see that for years that bird has been hiding something devastating, something frightening, that was a moment of pure amazing. I mean, it really blew me away. And it wasn't just me. I've so far watched Revelations twice, once with my wife, once by myself, then once with my kid. So I've seen it through 3 times, and I plan to watch it a 4th time before the next Revolution drops, because I personally love Revelation. I think it's fantastic storytelling for MOTU that opens the universe and does finally what MOTU was meant to do. From this point forward, we could do anything. The Masterverse is open to us at this point. All of Eternia is worth exploring. Every story is worth seeing and given real time. And it's the best thing they could do for themselves. I've argued this with the whole Star Wars thing too. The best thing that Star Wars could have ever done for itself is to step away from Luke Skywalker. Get away from the Skywalker name and let that universe... Think about all the amazing stories we've had in video games, comics, and books when they step away from Skywalker and explore that universe. MOTU is ready for that, man. MOTU is ready for that. It's ripe, it's willing, it's ready, it's final, it's time. And this thing here, this thing is part of that. Expanding the characters that were background characters that have no real significance. Screech, my evil bird. It went and spied on the bad guys. It went and spied on the good guys. It came back and told me some stuff. My good old bird. That bird has a lot deeper process, a lot deeper story than we were ever led to believe. And you could do this for every character in MOTU. I honestly believe it. So you can tell I'm worked up about how cool this could be. Let's see if it is cool. Okay, I think that's probably my best angle that I'm going to get. I've got the camera moved back, trying to maybe move the table back even a little bit, see if I can't get a better, I don't know. That looks like it's not terrible. Let's do that. Let's move the light a little bit here, and let's open this thing. This is definitely different than the other ones that we've done here. It's a massive box, so I definitely have to change my setup a little bit. Of course, you can tell I'm not necessarily set up to open something this large in my tiny setup. This is fantastic. I also like this, how this picture here actually wraps around the sides. That's really cool. This artwork on the cardboard is solid. And then this right here, this Hordak symbol, this is cool. Is there anything on the bottom? Mattel stuff. And then I've seen a lot of people talking about this. We're not going to talk about that here because I'm not going to speculate to it right now. Maybe in a later video if I get around to it, or if I feel like I have the honest knowledge to talk about it. But chances are I don't have that knowledge, so I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. Let's do this. Okay. Whew. Still got a good view here. We got a good... Yeah, we're locked in pretty good. Okay. Masters of the Universe, Netflix, Mattel Creations, the bird here. Oh man, it's already wanting to open up. That's cool. The wings span around, come around the side of the box here. Yeah, that's so awesome. It's the bird that was perched that they were praying to. That's the altar that Screech was pretty much made into. The gigantic Screech altar. That's the top of it. Is there anything bottom wise? Yeah, there's there's Revelation, MOTU, Masters of the Universe here. In case this is anything anybody wants, you scan that or pause it or read it or whatever. Masters of the Universe, presented by yada yada. Here we go. Okay. This box is presentation at its absolute finest. I'm not even kidding. Like, the box alone is a straight up event. Let's open it. This winds open like that. Oh man. That is... Oh! It's magnetized! The box opens up into an almost playset display. That I was not expecting. I'm excited about the box. We got the figure right here. I'm still excited about the box, but it's cool. Man, this is presentation, man. If you're going to move online, if you're going to sell this line to adults, if you're going to play the idea that this is an adult line for adults, okay? Because it is. Masterverse is. We need it. We need a younger generation to come in and be interested in it, or it's going to die with us. I still argue that. But I will be 100% right behind you saying that Masters of the Universe, Masterverse, and Origins is a sold primarily to adults toy line. If it wants to go online, if it wants to do this, that makes sense. We will pay for this kind of stuff. Like, I'm just looking, this is fantastic. I haven't even done anything with it yet. So we're going to pull her out. Oh, okay, she's got these little side things here that are holding her in. So we'll take that. Nothing too harsh. Move her forward here. Oop. Okay, good. She's kind of tagged in. Look at that. That is stunning. It's beautiful, man. It's straight up beautiful. That's amazing. Let me see if I can't move the camera a little bit and get a really good... There, we'll put it like right here. Maybe adjust you a little bit. Not by too much, but maybe just like that right there. Look at that. Look at that. That's just, oh man, that's the dark side of Eternia right there. That's the evil zone, the dark zone. It's just the amount of detail that is sitting here in just this little display is astonishing. I don't think this moves, but that's okay. That shouldn't move. That should be there. This all feels very solid too. This is the stand. Cool. So this is the stand for her, and it said that it would have like tech details or whatever, and it does for what it's worth. There's a small piece of tape here which I'm trying to get off so that I can actually get the stand out of here. I know normally I cut this part, but it's just amazing. So that's going to be important. That's probably behind her, I imagine. So that's going to plug in something in the back. Oh man. Yep, yeah, it's behind her. Okay, and then So let me get her out of here so we can look at her. Okay, here she is. Look at this. I mean, wow. She comes with 2 different hands. I don't see any reason to use them almost ever. They're there. So if I find a reason for them, sure. But these long fingernails, they're part of it. I've already got her on the stand. I figured it would just be nice to see her on the stand and not have to worry about her falling over or anything like that. She does move like a Masterverse figure. She has movement here that was fairly good. She has movement in her knees. Her elbows move. She does have the single joint. She doesn't have the double jointed elbow, but I also like that because it makes her eerie and unnatural compared to the other Masterverse figures. Like, look at this, how she has to move, and it's kind of like she has to be very careful about how she moves. There's something about that that's creepy and off-putting, is that she's not quite right. She's a robot thing. She's not necessarily alive, or maybe she's an even higher form of entity, but like, she's been designed is what I'm saying. And that's different than like an organic person. So like the double elbows and everything kind of work in Masterverse, and the knees and everything work in Masterverse in a way that makes her even more off-putting, even more eerie. And I really like that. I like this right here, this triangle right here. I like that soulless face. I mean, I do. Like, that is creepy, and it's so good. So the wings right now are of course in, which we'll check out the wingspan here in a second because I want to see that wingspan. Even like, I'm looking down here at her feet and there's like little designs. So like each toe is like a little it's not normal, you know what I mean? It's not normal. That's what I think is so cool about it. It follows the same idea as these hands here. If you're looking at the hand, there's a bunch of little segments. So you can see like where the fingers and whatnot. Let me cover her face so you can see it. See how the fingers, that's what I'm talking about. The toes have that same thing, that little area in between each finger. So it's kind of off-putting, unnatural, not quite right. It's so cool. The back of her is this amazing detailed work right here. I mean, it's really good. All these different colors and everything, the different shades of purple and all that, and this heavy color right here, and the metal that comes down, these areas where the wire's disconnected from her and everything. And under this is these tendril things that you can use to like, it moves around, it kind of like can plug into something or whatever. It's just this unnatural, like she's, you know, like she's been unplugged. It's just these wires, they're crazy. That cape is a beautiful design. It's not overdone, it's just right. It's got that fold that comes out all the way, kind of like the tail of a bird, right? So this is like the tail of the bird, and then the wings. So let's do this. Let's see. Bam! So these come out, and then these go out, and these go out, and then this is the max wingspan right here. And the wings don't move this way, do they? A little bit. They do turn this way, so that's kind of interesting. So there is some movement in the wings, a little bit of decent movement, so you can create some different interesting patterns. But that's the full wingspan right there of the figure from the back. And from the front, let's see how crazy that looks. I just had to, oh man, look at that. Look at that. If I had to complain about anything, I kind of wish this part matched up a little more, but it's still, I mean, what am I complaining about? That is fantastic. That is eerie. That is eerie beautiful. Eerie beautiful. It's soulless and lifeless and terrifying, all while being an absolute crafted thing of beauty. I mean, man, they knocked it out of the park with her. I'm telling you, out of the park. I cannot wait to see this thing in Revolution. Here's my biggest fear, is that this thing shows up in Revolution and it's throwaway. This better be important. It better do something. It better blow me away, because don't go through this kind of trouble. Look at this thing. That face, it's just unreal how good this is. I mean, it really blows me away. I'm almost speechless at how unbelievably cool this is. I mean, and let's do this real quick. Look, guys, that is Battle Cat. I mean, a Battle Cat is not a small figure, right? Look at that difference. She could pick up Battle Cat and throw it like it was a big dog. I mean, wow. Let's see her compared to a couple of other things real quick. Let's see her compared to Dumbface Skeletor. Look at how big she is! Oh my god! That's so cool! I'm sorry. I'm a child right now. I'm a straight up child right now. Look at that thing! It's ridiculously huge. I'm going to walk over here real quick. Let me grab Faker. That's a Masterverse figure standing next to her. And you know what? Just for ridiculous size comparison, because I want to know, I have a Play Arts Kai that sits back here. Oh, I kicked the light. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm too into what's going on. I want to see. Yeah. So here's my Gray Fox Play Arts Kai. She's bigger than he is. Oh, he got off his stand. She's bigger than he is. And I've always thought him to be big. And no, not compared to her. Nope. I need to readjust that stand, in all honesty. This is amazing. This is amazing. I am genuinely impressed completely. I am impressed. I don't know where she's gonna go. Because of the size of the current MOTU shelf, she may have no choice but to sit down here. That's fine, but I don't think I have any choice. Which, that's fine, because I kind of have some MOTU stuff here anyway, because I have the Castle Grayskull from my Mega Constructs. These are going out to the garage anyway, because they're video game stuff, and most of my video game collection is going out to build a secondary kind of hangout area where I keep all my retro video games and whatnot. So these 3 video game statues are going to go out there anyway, so she'll probably go right there. And then, of course, as I open my figures, because we have figures back here that are due to be opened, like the 2002 He-Man, sorry, 2012 He-Man, or 2013, 2000X, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. 2003, wasn't it 2003? I think it was 2003 when that series came out. I don't really know. Everybody calls it 2000X. That's what I'm going to call it, just for the sake of, I'm not 100% sure on the date. But I have that He-Man that's ready to be open and whatnot. Once those come off the shelf, this entire shelf will then be open for arrangement. And that's good, because I need some arrangement. I need some arrangement, okay? Not running out of space. If I'm to be completely honest, especially with the amount of stuff that I know is going to come off the shelf at different points, like there's something I got to do with the Star Trek shelf where it's going to lose some of its inventory, because I have a series. I really am set on this idea that I want to do a series of videos for collection goals, and part of the collection goals are going to be following the triangle that I created. That triangle, very specifically, I'm going to have to adhere to it And as I do so, there are certain things that are going outbound. There are certain things that need to be processed for the inbound onto the shelf. So that's going to deal with opening the 2 boxes and whatnot. Look at her. That's amazing. I mean, that is amazing. I can't stress enough how unbelievably cool this is. And I saw, in fact, we talked about it in an earlier video. I think it was when we were talking about Fangor, which I did get him, by the way. I got him. He's on the way. I talked about it. You can still buy her. So, I mean, there's still inventory. If you watched this and you thought it was cool, she's still there. You could have this too. Look, I personally wouldn't pass on this. If it's not your thing, I completely understand. Because there's a lot of things that are your thing, I'm sure, that I would completely pass on. And hey, that's the nature of collecting. Our collections say something about us. My collection doesn't say something about you necessarily. My collection doesn't say something about the way that you should collect necessarily. My collection is a museum to myself. It is the things that I love, I care about, and have significant meaning to me in different ways, one way or another. Every single item on this shelf has a story that pertains to me somehow. And if it doesn't, it needs to go. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I've ran my collection for a while now. And I think that it's done me a lot of favors because literally there's not a time that I come in here and sit down that I don't look over and think to myself, what am I doing? Or why this? Or why that? Or this is only on the shelf because of stupid reasons. No, I've followed that, I've adhered to my idea, and I've removed the items that I don't care for. Things that speak to me, things that make me feel like a child again, or that speak to me in a significant way. That's this room. And that is most assuredly a part of it. Because Revelation is what got me into MOTU. It's what made me a MOTU fan. It's what made me check out all the original series and start going through the catalog and start collecting the toys and start finding the comparisons where I liked it and where I didn't like it and finding the things that drew me into it, like Conan the Barbarian, Red Sonja, things of that nature. And it reignited a passion for this kind of stuff. Fantasy stuff. This got me playing D&D again. This got me reading Conan the Barbarian again. This got me reading Red Sonja again. This got me writing again. This got me doing videos on the regular again. Revelation reinvigorated all those different things. It came at just the perfect time for stuff that was going on in my life that I needed an escape. And I found it. And it brought me back to a moment of childhood that I'd kind of pushed to the backside to do all the adult things we need to do. And it reinvigorated all those things that I still loved, but I'd kind of buried to do other things. And I had to be honest with myself at some point and say, there are things that I want to do. And if I don't do them, I won't do them. Things like collecting MOTU, that I'd been on the edge of interest for MOTU for years because of all my other interests. And Revelation just brought it all back to life, man. So this has just become an absolute centerpiece to the entirety of this collection. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And if you have interest in this thing, I'm telling you, snatch her up now, because this is a fantastic piece. Later on, guys.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.